Hello, Fight Insight fans, viewers, and listeners. I'm the Filipino podcasting machine, Princey D. And with me, as always, the man formerly known as Timbo Slice Timmy B. Before we start, please take a moment to follow, like, and subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you get your pods. If you'd like to support the show, check out middaysquares.com and use code FIGHTINSIGHT15 to save 15% on your or every order you make. On today's episode, we talked to our first ever striking coach, discuss the next possible Cinderella man of the UFC, our good friend Commander Dale, and a whole lot more. Tim, hit it!
Yeah, it's Timmy B, Princey D, Fight in Sight. Yeah.
All right, so as Prince said, our guest today is a striking coach. He trains at Toronto Top Team in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He also works with UFC flyweight and former guest / friend of the podcast, Malcolm Gordon. He's here today to discuss being a coach at the highest level, what you should look for in a coach, his thoughts on some recent happenings in the UFC, and a whole lot more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast,
Erfan Noroozi!
That's the whole gig. That's amazing.
How's
Thank
it going,
you, guys.
buddy?
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming, man. This is a huge
Erfan,
honor.
Erfan, did you recognize the Scarborough reggae horn?
Yeah, you gotta have that. You gotta have that on what's that DJ thing you got? That's one of the things they got.
Yeah.
But then I feel like you'd be the kind of guy that would overkill it, and then Timmy would just suspend you from using it.
Do you want to know what we? Do you want to know what we do want to overuse? Is this?
Supergirl, a little overzealous, touching her down. That's the way of the right.
That's sick. That's pretty good. I like that. That took me by surprise. I had no idea you guys were gonna use that. That's dope.
Yeah. We love that guy, man. That's Olivier Coste at ONE FC.
Yeah.
He does that all the time, man.
You know what I was rewatching yesterday? The guy, what was that guy in Muay Thai where the guy got knocked out and the ref just dove and caught?
And
Man,
he
I don't
falls
know
and
how
catches him.
that hasn't been given an award. Like, that's never gonna happen again.
No.
So that's like the highest level of refereeing you can imagine.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing, man.
The athleticism, it's crazy. Yeah.
No, it's amazing. Erfan, for those that do not know you, right?
Yes.
People may recognize you from being in the corner of Malcolm Gordon at his UFC fights. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became a striking coach.
Yeah, for sure. Certainly. I actually played soccer my whole life till I was 18. And then you don't realize, like, you leave a country to go to a country where there's just shit ton of soccer players, So you realize, like, the level right away. I mean, Canadian soccer is a lot better now than what it was back, 12, 13 years ago. And then I came back playing soccer, didn't really work out. And I was having a hard time just playing for fun or, playing house league or like rep league, men's league. I mean, I'm telling you, soccer is one of those sports you get injured the most out of everything,
Yeah, man.
Those like Friday night leagues, all those construction workers that all they look forward to that Friday game, they'll go for a 50-50 ball like their whole life depends on it, right?
Yeah.
And then I think there was a period where I needed to find something. And then a buddy of mine who was at Southside Muay Thai in Scarborough, and I think they were only around at the time for like 3 or 4 years. And at this time I was kind of out of shape because I wasn't exercising and stuff like that. He's like, "Oh, just come try it. You might like it." And I was like, "All right, whatever. I'll just go." Like, I'm not a type of guy to put headphones on and just go do weights at the gym. Kind of get bored too fast. And then I tried it, fell in love with it, lost a shit ton of weight. And then from there, I kind of really started liking boxing a lot. And a friend of mine was training at Atlas Boxing, which they're no longer. I don't believe they're no longer. I believe during the lockdowns, they kind of shut down too.
Okay.
They were like by Yorkdale Mall, and Adrian and Armand were there. Lennox Lewis was actually one of the guys that trained there at one point when he came over. So he was training out of there. Arthur was out of there. The Chechnyan Wolf, he's a pro boxer right now. Mandy, who's on the Canadian national team. So it was a very hard-nosed gym where like you did the same warm-up every day. You did the same thing every day. Kind of learned there. Had 3 amateur bouts while being there. And then from there, the story is long. I switched over to Stockyards, which is another boxing gym. Was there for 2 years. And then I wanted to get back. I wanted to learn a little bit more MMA and stuff like that. So I switched over to Undisputed MMA, which is in Scarborough as well.
Okay.
This seems like terrible stories, but they shut down during COVID too. That was a second gym.
This is reality now, man. This is reality.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I was doing a boxing class one day, and there was a coach there by the name of Val, who is a black belt and he in jiu-jitsu as well as does sambo. And he's like, oh, it's cool. You know how to like strike. What if somebody grabs you and like throws you down? What are you going to do? And I was like, all right, just go ahead, grab me. Let me test this out. Let me see what it's like. He grabbed me and just ragdolled me. And I was like, okay, shit, I need to learn this, because striking isn't everything. And then from there, I was there for a few years learning grappling, doing striking, then switched over to Toronto BJJ, did a year of jiu-jitsu there, and then ended up at Toronto Top Team. And I guess how I started working with Malcolm it was an interesting story because I used to go to Body of Four, which is a jiu-jitsu gym.
Yeah. Our jiu-jitsu guy was through the lineage of Body of Four, I believe.
Really,
so,
that's dope, man. Yeah. That's dope. Yeah, Professor Marco Costa.
That's right. Yeah,
he's been around for a while. Knows he's an incredible black belt, and he's an amazing coach. Like I've seen a lot of black belts, and there's a lot of great ones out there. But if there's one person you really, really want in your corner in tournaments, and especially in grappling tournaments, he's the guy. He's really good. Nice. I was thinking of making a switch from that gym for a while, and I just couldn't pull the trigger, especially you guys know the martial arts. Like you leave a gym, it's not like a regular gym. It's like you almost turn your back on everybody and you talk to those people. So I switched. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's and that's another thing I wanted to actually talk about. But yeah, I switched over to Toronto BJJ after a year, and Malcolm was helping George Burrito, who's the head instructor, get ready for his last MMA fight. So he was kind of helping him with everything. And then one day I randomly ran into Malcolm and I held pads for him. Like it was literally, we just started talking. I held pads for him. And 3 days later, the first lockdown happened. And he was set to fight in Brave in Brazil. He was supposed to have a fight in Brazil. And then he got his contract to fight in UFC. And then right away he started, because he had worked with Joe before, Bazooka. So he went to, of course, he would go to him because he's been working with him and he's an incredible coach. And then took his first two fights essentially under Joe and in his UFC. But it was pretty much a bit of, luck, having a bit of luck, in terms of like making that switch. And what was cool about it is, man, like sometimes you don't really realize what change brings you, right? A simple decision of leaving a gym just for the sake of going somewhere else that I decided to take forever. If I didn't make that move, I would have never had the opportunity to be able to help Malcolm at the UFC. And of course, it's with a lot of hard work, but I truly believe like the more harder you work, the luckier you get sometimes. And that's what it was. It was nothing else. And it was simply just being in the right place at the right time and making that connection with Malcolm. So after his second fight, he just reached out and we started working together, and that's pretty much it, man.
But during that time, you must have been coaching other people and just picking up classes and developing your craft, right?
100%. Even when I played soccer, I always found out on early, like I worked at soccer camps every summer for kids, and I really, really enjoyed coaching. Like, I think you look at any sport, like, for example, let's just use soccer, right? Some of the best coaches in the world that are coaches either barely had a soccer career or didn't have one at all. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I find it the same thing as MMA. It's like, it's amazing if you have a guy that's fought MMA and can coach well, but you see a lot of guys that have fought shit ton of fights, and then you ask them to corner someone and you go like, what are you doing in the corner? Like you're giving and they were incredible fighters. There's like, you know what I mean? They're top, like, I even saw, I don't like naming names, but I just saw a recent event, the last UFC, and there was a UFC cornerman, like legend, and like the instructions he was giving were not instructions you would give to somebody to try to help them out of a situation. Right?
Well, can I say one thing here, Erfan?
Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. So much of your and my upbringing seems similar because I played soccer my whole life in Canada, but also I was playing tennis and I became a coach because I liked coaching a lot more, and I actually studied coaching in university.
That's amazing.
People would come up to me and they would go, hey, wait a second, if you're a coach, then you should be like the best and you should be able to
Yeah.
beat everyone. And I'm like, look, man, do you think, and this is how old I am, okay, but I'd be like, do you think Andre Agassi's coach can beat
It's
Andre
better.
Agassi?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Like
literally.
a coach is a specific skill set to be able to coach. You can be a player, you can be a coach, and you can not be the other. So yeah, no, exactly.
And I think some people are just born to be a coach, man. Like some people, like for me, like I get excited to watch stuff and learn stuff and figure out or see drills and be like, why I would use this drill.
Yeah.
It's like I get excited to like show up to the gym and be like, all right, let's do this, you know? So that's how I knew. But even playing soccer in camp and kids, even when, you know, soccer it wasn't a big sport and it was struggling. So you had to do a lot of training.
Yeah.
When my friend and I would get together to train, I would design all the drills that we would do. You know, I would be the one.
Yeah.
Like it's just him and I was still playing, but I was like, we should do this. We should do the ladder drill this way. This is what we should do for half an hour, and then this is what we should do for the remaining of the time. You know.
Nice. And I do want to ask you, because you talk about it a little bit. You say like, oh, I'm listening to what those coaches say in the corners, and you see that. So I want to ask you a question. I'm going to play a clip here of something that happened last weekend at UFC. This was the co-main event. I'm going to just play this clip 1 second. And for those listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you got to watch the YouTube video, but I'll explain what this is after.
Pickett trying to survive to round 2.
Pickett's out.
He does it! That's before the horn!
Well,
all right.
I missed it. What did we hear there?
Okay, so it's not so much that you can hear, but this is the co-main event from last weekend. This was Dawkins.
Choke with the buzzer beater.
Has his opponent in the choke. It goes like he's got the choke in at the 7-second mark. It's counting down. That's the end of the first round, right? The guy taps with 1 second to go. Yeah. My question to you, Erfan, if you're in either fighter's corner, are you not screaming how much time is left over so that A, Dawkins can choke the crap out of him, and B, if you're the other guy, should your coach not be screaming, going, hold on, you've got 3 seconds, 2, 1.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm in the guy's corner that's getting choked, I would almost be doing a countdown like it's New Year's Eve, you know? Right. So it's like, I would definitely, because you didn't really hear much from that side, you know?
No, this is in the UFC Apex, so we can hear pretty much everything, and you don't hear any coach.
Yeah. It's funny. I watched that fight too. That was a beautiful choke. But you're right. That's so funny to not hear the countdown or the time. Like, you know, even when we corner. I mean, I'm very blessed to have Mark Hominick. You know what I mean? And What an opportunity to be like to watch some guy fight growing up and like watch his fights, like when he fought Aldo, when, you know, in Canada, like how big that was, you know, to have him in my corner and just like to be my first 2 experiences as a coach, to have his advice and his tips and how he does things, man, like I couldn't ask for a better person. Right. And one of the things I like with Mark does is like we have one person that leads, and usually with Malcolm, we like to have a grappling guy lead because Malcolm is a grappler, right? Okay. And everything goes through him. And I'm essentially like, if I'm seeing things, I'm pulling on the shirt and just telling him something in the ear, right? Because I know for some corners or some people, you don't want 3 people yelling, right? Or shouting instructions at you, because that kind of creates chaos, right? And this is something I learned from Mark, speaking with him and learning with him is, you know, you don't want 3 people shouting, because at the end of the day, maybe some fighters like that, but it creates panic in the fighter, right? Because it's just like instruction after instruction after instruction, and you're not really letting the fighter process what's going on. So even the last fight we were in, within the first 30 seconds, like I'm pulling on George, jab, watch his distance, jab. So it's like, I like the method that Mark has, and that works well for us. But to tie back to what you said, if I was in that corner, either corner, I would have been saying, hey, like both corners should have been giving the countdown, you know? Yeah. So,
you know what? I'm surprised because you guys, you know what? If I was the other coach, I would have told the other guy, pull down his shorts, because you could see him get his arm up over here. You might as well try and tag down his shorts, and he'd let go of the choke. That's what advice I would give him. That.
Yeah, I mean, anything to get out of that, because then the ref's going to give you a warning, right? So
there you go. Erfan, you're agreeing with that?
That's from the same mentality, man.
The thing
Scarborough
is,
what,
man, like
baby?
there's so many. The reason I agree with that is there's so many scenarios, man. You see guys that were about to be taken down, and very.
Right.
I can't think of something out of top of my head. Guy hangs onto the fence, man. It just
A
stops.
little hook.
And what does the ref do? Oh, don't do it again. That's it, right?
Too late. It's already.
I kind of agree. I mean, I don't know if that would have helped in any way because the choke was so deep.
Yeah.
But I mean, all for broke, man. If you're trying to get out of submission, anything you can to get out of it, and if it requires you getting worn. But you see it, even fighters now, even like when they're putting their foot off the fence, their toes are all clipped in. How many fights you see like they do it 4, 3, 5 times, 6 times, and then finally the guy's like, it's very rare you see point be taken off for people like holding on to stuff or pulling on something. Glove holding inside the glove, right?
Yeah.
I was watching last week the Aldo and Jan fight, and Aldo did it like 3 times in the fight where like Jan was on top and he literally had his 2 fingers hooked into his glove, and Jan had to look at the ref, and the ref had to like separate,
and the ref looks at him and goes, Aldo is a legend. I will let him hook the fence as much as he wants.
And he's still fighting at a high level.
Exactly. Erfan, in between, you kind of already touched upon this, but in between rounds, you're saying, so, okay, during the round, I'm telling the one coach to speak. And I really like that because you're like, hey, this way he can focus on one voice, one direction.
Exactly. Yeah.
The second, though, is when it comes in between rounds, are you doing the same thing? Because oftentimes we'll see when they show us what's happening in between rounds, you'll see one coach and he'll go blah, 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 blah. And then I like when he goes, okay, Joe, go. And then the next coach will give some instruction. But you will see some corners where you just see 2 guys, blah, 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 and they're both screaming, right? Like, so what is your take on that, and how do you address that with your fighters?
Yeah, I mean, luckily last fight we didn't get to a round. I finished within a minute and a half. But the first fight, Mike led the way. Mike Imprada, an incredible grappling guy. He led the lead in the corner. So he gave his instructions. Mark said a few things. So we essentially took our turns. And what was interesting, it was the first time all 3 of us were working together, right? Like it was a whole brand new coaching staff, except for Mark, who's been with Malcolm forever, right? So Mike had been in his corner before, but he didn't lead. So we all got our say. We all took our turns. I prefer it that way too, where, there's instructions given. But just in any coaching on any level, you don't want to give too many instructions, right? You kind of want to say something and some sort of agreement back, and then you move on, right? So you don't want to be giving that full out sentences and a life story and then nothing clicks. But, I think controlling your breathing for you see it now, everybody does it. 2 breaths, 3 breaths, right? Before you give them any instructions, but it applies to everything, right? Like if I'm teaching somebody a technique in striking, I can't give them 6 cues before they start doing it. I got to give them 1 or 2. They got to go through the motions for a few minutes and then add a next one, right? Because or even if you guys do jiu-jitsu, you have instructors that teach like 10 techniques. You leave the class and you don't remember one of them, right? So
you know who does it? You know who does it the best? The corner, Thug Rose's corner. You see them, Thug Rose's partner say it, and then all of a sudden they'd be like, "All right, Trevor, you're next," and they go at it, right? And I like that transition.
Goat, man. Trevor Whitman is the GOAT. Like that guy.
Pat Barry, between the 2 of them,
both of them. But I mean, Trevor Whitman, I think. He's I buy all his DVDs, his footwork blueprint on dynamic striking. That guy is so intelligent, and I like the way he coaches. And he's got what 2 champions right now, and could be one more.
It's gonna be 3.
Yeah,
it's gonna be 3, man. Erfan, it's nice to hear that, like, as a coach, you are always studying, always learning and improving, right? Because obviously you want to continue to develop. How do you prepare a fighter for someone, and we'll get to this later because this is this weekend, but how would you prepare someone when you're fighting Bobby Green, or like a Bobby Green, someone who is going to talk a lot of trash, who is so unorthodox in the way that he fights, his head movement and whatever? What do you like? What kind of advice would you give to someone that's fighting someone so unorthodox?
Yeah, I would say for someone like Bobby Green, you got to put the pressure on him. If you sit too long in the mid range, that's where he gets off, right? The talking aside, I mean, most guys can handle talking. I don't think that's the issue. I think what happens is like, what was the name of the guy that he fought last? That he beat?
Hackbrast, Nazareth.
Yeah, he literally just sat in the pocket with him, and that's a no-no. Like, neither you threatened him with takedown, so he had nothing to worry about in his legs. He wasn't really going to kick, so he wasn't resorting to that. And you're trying to have a boxing match in a range where someone is extremely comfortable, right? And what makes Bobby challenging is his hands are both down, right? So you got a lot of guys that are just looking down the middle line, and the strikes are just coming right from the bottom, right? So you got to be able to change your vision a little bit to see where the strikes are coming. But to beat someone like Bobby is to put the pressure. Like, you got to move forward and try to, if you're going to strike him, outstrike him moving forward. But if you're on the back foot and trying to stay in that mid range, either you're out where he can't hit you, or you're close that you're in a telephone booth together. None of that mid range where he's just pop, 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 ow, pop, 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 ow, right? And that's what he did, and that's what he does best, right? So, which will be interesting this weekend to see what happens with Islam.
What Islam is able to do.
Putting the pressure on him with that pedigree of grappling is going to be, it's super interesting.
Well, the only advantage Islam has is that he won't understand half the things Bobby's saying.
That's true too. Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
Like,
yeah.
Come on, right? Like, you'd be saying all this. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
You'll still get the idea though.
Many guys talk too, eh? Like, look at how much Khabib used to talk. Like, you know, they're not as quiet as they seem as they are, right? So
yeah.
He actually against Michael Johnson, he was asked him to quit, like in the fight. He's quit. You must give up.
Like, I need the belt. I need the chance of the belt. So like, you need to quit now. Like, it's horrible. It's the worst.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I can't, like, it's one thing to be getting a beating, and then someone talking shit to you while you're getting a beating. You know, it's like your bigger brother beating you up. It's like.
What about that's the keys to beating Bobby Green. What about the size of your gym, Erfan? Not necessarily your gym, but when a fighter is looking for a gym, sometimes I worry when I look at gyms that seem too big, like they've got too many fighters.
Yeah.
How many, like, for you as a coach, how many people do you want to work with that's an ideal number, to the point where you say, okay, well, that's enough. I can't devote enough time to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, like, I've been to Syndicate a few times just to do some grappling there in Vegas.
Hold on. Can I just say one quick thing? That's the gym I'm talking about.
Really, eh? Okay.
Because and let me just say, I'm just going to throw a picture up here on the screen, and again, we're going to talk about this later. But there's our good friend Gian Kim and Ramona Pasquale. Both have been on this podcast. They're both at Syndicate, so I watch their Instagram a lot. There's a lot of fighters there, man.
Yeah, it's
so sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've never been like, I'm just getting started out, but I would assume, like, you know, if you have that many fighters, you certainly have a schedule of how you're handling things. Like, I would assume, right, whether they're getting one-on-one time, pad time, fight strategy time. I mean, for us, like a top team, we have Malcolm, that's an active fighter. Tariq, who's an incredible fighter. He fights in Brave. That's definitely someone you guys should have. He's fought Muay Thai. He's fought boxing. He's done MMA. Certainly 100% belongs in the UFC. Very high level striker. So we essentially have those two, and then we have that are active, and then we have a lot of young and up and coming people that want to get fighting. So for us, it's very comfortable managing that. I think it would be more of an issue when everybody else is fighting. But I also find what people thrive in, right? So some guys or some girls or whoever thrive more in a setting where there's a lot of fighters, right? You know, and then some guys prefer to be the people that just get the sole attention and be the guy that's the main guy there, right? Because you see all the time people leaving and going to a different camp, and then they go for 3-4 months, and then they come and perform, and they, like, let's just say they go to a gym with a bunch of fighters, and they're worse than what they were before, right? So I think psychologically, for some people or fighters, they find better when it's just a few fighters and they're getting most of the attention. For other people, they don't mind, right? And I think that's Usman. That's how Usman went and worked with,
that's right.
You know, Trevor Whitman is he left Henry Hoof, right? Because he was so
Yeah.
busy with people.
And Whitman has
Dillashaw a
said
little
he's
bit
only got the
too.
3.
Exactly, and Dillashaw a little bit too, right? He switched.
Yeah.
He was training with
Alpha male.
Dwayne for a bit, and I mean, look at Alpha Male. You watch their Instagram. There's like 30 guys. Probably 20 of them are in the UFC, right?
Yeah.
So,
And
know,
what you don't
Can you
and what you
imagine
don't
showing
see,
up to? Can you imagine showing up to a kettlebell class in there? You're like, "Hi, I'm here for
Yeah.
the kettlebell class," and you've got
Literally, what's
you're
going
yeah,
on?
have you been left, right, center? What's going
Just
on?
showing up for sparring, man. You know, it's like it's it's good and bad, but I find it's what works for the fighter, what they feel comfortable with, right?
okay, nice.
And then I don't know about Kobe Covington's last team because that was interesting, but
A lot of stuff coming out on that.
Yeah,
right? There are people coming out of the woodwork to talk shit about him now.
I don't know. I think he just went to a gym where he wanted to run the show and say what he wanted and to go his way. Because if I'm not mistaken, you rewatch. I don't think his corner was really even telling him anything in between. Like they were just there because they were there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he chose them to be there with him, right?
There was it's funny, like you'll see like different relationships with gyms and you can see them almost kind of sour and stuff like that. There's one girl that fought in ONE FC, and on one of her fights she went down. She had no corner with her. You're going out to ONE FC, traveling out to Singapore to fight, and she had no corner. And some guy that was there that she knew stepped in to corner her like at the last minute. Like, I don't get it. She was just going to walk in there and fight with no corner on the biggest stage in Asia. So I mean,
I feel like she pulled a Platinum Perry, with his girlfriend.
Yeah, you should have got Platinum Perry's girlfriend. She's a pretty good coach.
Crazy,
man.
What was last weekend? The Detroit survival guy.
Yeah. So this is the question we want to ask you. Now, as a striking coach, you're a legit coach, right? I do want to ask what your thoughts were on Dale Brown being in the corner of Joaquin Buckley. And I do want to announce right now, we've got Joaquin Buckley on the podcast next week.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
So Joaquin is coming next week, and we're going to talk to him because there's a lot of stuff about this. But as a striking coach yourself, what did you think about that?
I mean, I didn't really watch the corner tape, but from what I hear, I don't think he was really giving out instructions or saying anything. Right. And I think he did what he did in terms of, I guess he was just trying to get some publicity. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, you can't hate a guy that's playing the game. Connor laid the blueprint of the more attention, the more buys, the more you end up. Because you even see that now. Like, you see high-level fighters that are doing really well, but you're always on the prelims. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. They're that guy or that girl that's just quiet, that just likes fighting and just shows up and does their job and goes home, right? Yeah. So for people that are trying to make more money, anything you can, and what better person to have in your corner than a guy that guy, what? I don't know how many, he went from how many followers to how many followers in the span of like 2 months, that Detroit urban guy. He was on Nick Doja Life. He was everywhere, you know?
He was on our podcast.
Yep, he was on our podcast.
Yeah, he was. Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Let me just show you this, Erfan, because exactly what you said is exactly why Joaquin had him on. I'm just going to play this little clip. Hopefully you can hear this.
When I realized the UFC wasn't promoted like it should, they promoted it well at the end, but I made sure that all the eyes, you see, I got my man right here. Come here. Dale. Come here. All right. That's why I brought this man in here to help promote this fight. I probably never had as many people watching this fight. You got DJ Khaled out there, Snoop Dogg, all the celebrities watching, both kings in here, both knockout artists. Go to fucking world.
Right.
That's amazing, dude. Yo, you know what I love about that guy? His signature stance. He's always just got the hand like this.
And the other
the only thing that was missing was the Bluetooth, which I don't think they allowed him to bring in the corner. But he always has that Bluetooth thing. It's signature,
Guys,
man.
You know what's crazy? That I don't know how he's able to keep his eyebrows like that the whole time. Like every time the camera would zoom in on our friend, it'd be like this the whole time. How does he have a tape to keep it on? Like, how does he keep it there? Yeah, that's it the whole time, right?
It could be cosmetic surgery. We'll have to ask him next time. But like you just said, Erfan, it's because he wanted to bring eyes to the fight, and he blatantly says it. He goes, "Hey, man." Now we're gonna, like I said, Joaquin's on the podcast next week, so we're gonna ask him what else, because I did read some stuff about him saying he appreciated Dale's mental game. and what he brought from a mental aspect about coaching and stuff like that, because those are all aspects of coaching. So I'm glad that you said it, because hey, it's eyes on the sport. It brings attention to this fighter. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do something.
Funny, man? Sorry to interrupt, but you know what's funny? At the end of the day, too, is we don't really know, again, like to what he said regarding his mental training and his coaching and stuff like that. Like, we don't know what goes on behind closed door. Maybe he was a good guy to just be there, and sometimes that's what you need, right? Like, sometimes, as much as coaching skills is incredibly important, but like, you have to care about the fighter. You have to have a good relationship and actually, connect with each other, right? So it's like, you go through the weight cut process with them. Some guys don't, but like, like with me and Malcolm, I did. And it's like, you want a good guy that's in there when you're barely, cutting your last 2 pounds, right? You don't want someone you don't like in there with you, right? So, so
you just wind up eating a cheesecake. You're like, forget this, man. I'm just gonna go in overweight.
I'm out.
We ended up with Strickland the last 2 pounds in the sauna, so that was kind of a quite an experience in there.
Hold on, Erfan. Okay, Erfan, we are going long on time. I appreciate you staying here. I got to get you back on one day. I got to get you back on, because we've been having a fight on our Instagram with Sean Strickland.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, really?
He was going back and forth with us about Dale, actually. So, yeah, we've been
really. What was the fight? He wasn't agreeing with it. He didn't like it.
Oh yeah, he's challenging Dale. He wants to fight Dale in a parking lot. Blah blah blah. So we started. Hey, we're friends with Dale. We went online and we started saying, no, man, this guy. Hey, what the hell's your problem? Of course, you can beat up like 99% of self-defense instructors on the planet. Like, what does that prove?
Trained MMA fighter,
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't matter. It's like, of course, like, not every self-defense fighter is like, like a Chuck Norris. Jeez Louise, right? Like these are just normal guys teaching moves. But he was like really he trash talks him a lot. So we keep challenging him to come on our podcast. Let's shit talk.
Really? Yeah.
And let's have it out.
Hopefully he comes on the show. He's definitely the same person he is in person than he is online. So that was not.
That's what Erfan, do you have any inside scoop on this guy? What was he wearing inside the sauna? So we can just
No, he was just cutting weight. I mean, he was actually pretty nice too, because he kind of was like noticing, how hard Malcolm we were trying to get the last few pounds off. So, I mean, I find the last 2 times when everybody's in the sauna, it's like everybody's pretty, like, all the fighters understand everybody's cutting weight, so they're pretty chill together. I think the last fight against Figueroa, we had Jim Miller and he was cutting in the weight, so it's kind of interesting to see like high level guys cutting weight, and fuck, these guys cut a shit ton of weight, man. You see it. I saw it from the outside as well too, but you really don't realize. Like, I remember the first card, Islam was the main event on that one. He was fighting. Who was he fighting Islam on that card?
Hooker?
No, before that. Who did he fight before? The Brazilian guy, Thiago? Or Mat something. What was the last? It was Islam. It was before the Hooker fight.
Anyways,
that was the main event. Yeah. And I saw Khabib and I'm like, dude, that guy weighs like 205. And then I think I read something, he was on a podcast recently saying how he was suffering. He would get seizures in some of his weight cut. You know how much you have to be cutting for you to be getting seizures?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane, man.
That's severe dehydration. That's what happens. Yep. That's it.
He struggled a few times, man. But at the UFC level, man, I just don't know the science and the nutrition getting better and better. And the team at the PI is so freaking good, man. Yeah. The nutritionists there, they'll even help you like run a weight cut as if you didn't even have a fight coming up to see if you can do it, right? I think Hooker did that at the PI where they helped him cut weight, see what he get down to. So
like you said,
man, in the future, in terms of like athletes, like what guys are cutting, right? Like, what was that statistic where Figueroa weighs in like 145 when he fights?
Yeah.
Like, what, man? You weighed 126 24 hours ago. Less than 24 hours ago.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So,
Erfan, before we move on, I do, again, I'm, huge thanks to you for coming on. I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple of our sponsors. We said it at the beginning of the show. We 100%. Had middaysquares.com, guys, for sure. Check them out. Use code FIGHT INSIGHT 15. Have you tried this?
Dude, I've tried everything. It's
This-
like I'm addicted to them.
This is good stuff. Use code FIGHTINSIGHT15, 15% off
Fight
all your
Insight.
orders.
What's your
Fight
favorite
Insight.
flavor?
I like the almond one, the almond crunch.
Because I actually don't mind the peanut butter one, the one that came out like 2 months ago or 3 months
Yeah.
ago.
Oh
That's
man,
Prince's
Erfan,
favorite.
man, I love peanut butter, man. Even though I have a peanut allergy.
Yo, Midday Squares, where's my sponsorship?
There you go.
Okay.
Record this, keep this on.
Yo,
Midday
forget
Squares. I
that.
want my
I'm editing all this part out.
Really? Oh shit!
Just kidding.
Just trying to sell myself for some Midday Squares, you know?
No, man, you got to contact them, man. They're good people. I also want to give a shout out to wakewater.ca. You'll see us drinking this on the podcast. This is caffeinated water.
Oh, nice.
It's really good stuff. Zero carb, sugar, and sweetener. Good stuff. Use code FIGHTINSIGHT for 10% off your orders at wakewater.ca. And Prince, you got one more.
Yes, and contact Hula Cleaning Services. So contact Hula Cleaning Services for all your carpet, fitness, commercial, and construction cleaning needs. You can check them out at www.hulacleaning.com. And Erfan, you know what? Let me just say one thing, man. What do you need a sponsor for? You live at a condo downtown. Richmond Hill, come on, man.
Ballin'.
Richie is balling, man.
Life in Toronto ain't cheap, man. It's like, you gotta have three jobs, you know?
Erfan,
So-
where
Just
can
to pay
people...
for your parking.
Dude, you know, I try to rent a parking spot in my condo because I don't have one. So I've been parking the visitor, but it's still under construction, so they don't give you a hard time. Someone tried to sell me their parking for $310 a month. $310 a month, bro. I'm like, that's a car payment.
Wait,
nuts.
$310 a month?
$1 a month.
That's not that
to
bad,
park
though,
the
is
car.
it?
That's bad, man. Dude,
Is
what's
it?
that? That's what do you live in large? This guy's like $310 a month.
No,
Add
I
your
don't-
car payment, add insurance. You're paying another mortgage to have a car.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
Then
That's-
apparently I lost out to some girl from China that just paid it all upfront cash. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to bet with this, you know.
That's a monthly payment for a Honda Civic hatchback. EK.
Literally.
You're literally.
Yeah, I agree.
Erfan, I've put it on the screen, but for those
Yes.
listening just on the audio version, for people to find you, where's the best place for them to go to find you?
Erfan Noroozi is the handle. ERFAN NOROUZZI. I had to double check so I don't misspell it. I coach out of Top Team. I train myself out of there too. And the cool thing about Top Team, man, I just want to kind of give credit to someone who doesn't really get credit, is Ainsley. He's the head MMA coach there, and
Nice.
incredible wrestling pedigree, as well as has fought MMA. And we got a young group. So if you want to learn, and if you're, fresh and you want to learn it from the base up and hopefully get some fights in, we got a good core of group. Tariq's there. He's an incredible boxing coach. Breno is there. He's the grappling coach, jiu-jitsu coach, black belt. So anybody that wants to come out there, I don't think I'm missing any. I don't want to be missing anybody from there. Definitely want to give a shout out because they're a very community-based gym. So
Nice.
and look for them in the future, man. Right now, it's like, there's a lot of young people that are learning and getting into it, but in 3-4 years, it'll definitely be a big team of fighters for sure.
Yeah, man. No, that gym looks sick. When we interviewed Malcolm Gordon, he was in the gym, and so he kind of took us around a little bit. But yeah, that gym looks great. Definitely check it out. I know Prince is going to go look at it soon because he lives close. And when this whole pandemic thing starts easing up even a little bit more, we're on Filipino TV. We're going to bring some television crew down to do some filming down there. We'll make sure that you get on there. Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
All right, so let's move on. And I did want to say, friends of the podcast update. We often talk about like what our friends are doing, Erfan. So we did show the picture that both Ji-Yeon Kim and Ramona Pasquale are fighting on UFC this weekend. But the big news there is that Ramona Pasquale, she signed with the UFC. This will be her first UFC fight. We saw her when she was Combate Global.
Yep.
Then she fought Invicta. And then now she's fighting UFC and she signed a deal there. So we are so happy for her. That girl's a beast. She is going to tear things up. She's got a great story too. Our friend Commander Dale, he was successful as a first-time coach at UFC last weekend.
Want to know, baby?
Connor Tierney. Connor Tierney is a bare knuckle champion in England. He signed with BKFC. We had him on a long time ago when he was looking for a fight. They finally matched him up. He's fighting March 12th, BKFC in New York City. So be on the lookout for that guy. That guy's like the best.
Yeah, bare knuckle people, man. You're just next level people. Like,
Yep.
they're in a different category, you know. I have a friend who actually trains in Miami. I've trained a few times as a pro boxer there.
Okay.
And he was here for the holidays, so I met up with him a few times, did some sessions, and he's like, those bare knuckle, it's huge in Miami, like Florida and in that state. And he's like, man, they're just different level of, like, you know, people, like, to get in there bare knuckle, man. It's insane.
And steroids.
Man.
Yeah, it's literally.
It's a crazy sport, man. But yeah, anyway, so Connor Tierney, anybody that watched the podcast with Connor Tierney loves that guy. That dude is like, he's a walking movie star. He's fighting March 12th, like I said, BKFC in New York City. So be on lookout for that. And Brandon Lau, he was on one of our very first podcasts. He's fighting April 2nd at Tri-City Fighting Resurrection, which is last week we had William Wang on, who's fighting there. Brandon is signed on to fight at that event as well. So check him out April 2nd.
You know what Canada needs? Canada needs more events. That's the thing. Canada scene needs more fighting events, man. In the States, there's like an event. Guys have a hard time getting, you know, fights and stuff like that. So if there's one thing Canada can do to progress, you know, I mean, ideally it'd be great to have a PI, you know, in one of the major cities. That would be amazing, right? Because that's what's happening in Vegas. Everybody's just gravitated to Vegas. They get their treatment, they get their food, and they get taken care of. So more events in Canada, man. More events in Canada.
Yeah, you know, that is a big thing, man. I mean, I think right now these are one of the first few events that are starting to open up now, right after the pandemic. And actually, Tri-City just released on their Instagram. I don't want to get too political here, but they did just release on their Instagram that there will be no need for proof of vaccination if you are attending to fight or to spectate. I think for sure spectate. I don't know about fighters, but I'm assuming it would be the same. But hey, man, that might mean that things are opening up, and maybe we will start seeing more events in Canada, right?
Hopefully, for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's move on so that we have enough time, because we want to talk about the fights that are happening this weekend at UFC. Prince said at the intro, "Hey, we're talking about
my fights too."
Okay, all right, good.
You guys go ahead. I'm pulling it up.
All right. So the fight card this weekend. Tons of great fights, man. I want to start on the prelim card, Prince. We've got Jin Yu Frey versus Hannah Goldie. That's a good fight, man. Jin Yu Frey is a huge fighter. In lots of Invicta fame, has come over to UFC, and Hannah Goldie is one to look out for too. So I'm gonna call that as one of the fights to watch out for on this card. I think that one's gonna deliver.
So weird. It says canceled on it on the UFC.
Are you friggin' serious? Now I got to edit this out too. No, really? It's not on Wikipedia. On Wikipedia, it's saying,
I don't know, unless Hannah Goldie was a replacement, or was that supposed to be the fight?
I don't know. I feel like Hannah Goldie might have been a replacement because I didn't think it was her before.
Okay, cool.
Anyways, let's look at the other fight, which is our friend Ramona Pasquale. She's fighting 10 days notice or so. So it's a bit short notice. Trains out at Syndicate MMA, Erfan. So she's with that big group with Joanne Calderwood. What's her husband's name? Something Wood, right? Joe Wood, or that guy's her husband?
The main guy.
Wood. I know it's Wood.
Yeah, you're
John
right.
Wood.
I have him on Instagram.
All right.
I'm not the best.
Anyways, but Ramona Carla's fighting, so be sure to watch. She's the second. She's the co-main of the prelims. Then you get to the main card. We've got Jiyeon Kim, our friend, versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Prince, obviously we're voting for Jiyeon Kim, right?
All the way, 110% by decision.
Decision?
I'm going to go with decision.
Yeah. I am really nervous, Erfan, going back to my thing about saying when there's a lot of fighters in the gym.
Who is the other girl, by the way? Because it doesn't show again here.
Jiyeon Kim, she's fighting Priscilla Cachoeira.
Wow,
you can't go to the UFC website. I find that one's always... Huh? You got to go to
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
It's website. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Anyways,
I
but
mean, I'll go with whoever you're picking. I
right,
leave my
thank you.
trust in there.
Man,
I think
what's the Wi-Fi situation at your condo, man? Like you
what,
wanna throw you a hotspot mine?
what,
Maybe that's
what
probably the
what's going
reason why
on?
that's probably it's not working.
The
Hotspot
Wi-Fi,
mine here. I'll give it to
the
you.
Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi is perfect. Last month, my neighbor didn't pay their bill, so it wasn't the best. But this month, it's back to working. You know? That's perfect. It's
Good.
perfect
That's
this
the
month.
way.
That's the way. Eh?
All right, co-main event. You've got Canadian Misha Serkinov facing off against Wellington Turman. Prince, what do you got on this one?
Oh, listen, man. I'm going with the Canadian Misha. That guy's a tank, and his birthday is actually in 4 days. So I think
Oh
he's
yeah,
gonna, yeah. So I think he's gonna take it. And have you guys seen Misha? Misha looks like a football player,
yeah,
like infused into another football player, infused into like a the Hulk. Like the guy's massive. Like he's a tank,
yeah.
man. It's
He's
like
huge. He's huge.
it's
They
shredded. So I got
they
Misha.
are both 2 wins in their last 5 fights. These guys are both potentially looking to fight to save their job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Serkinov is actually 2 in his last 7.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm gonna go. I've heard some good things on Wellington. I think I'm gonna go on Wellington on this fight. But I
yeah,
hope he pulls it off. You know,
yeah, of course. We hope that. Yeah, we hope that
it always
Serkinov.
sucks when it's a Canadian and you don't want to like go against the other guy. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
crazy. That's like a fight for your job fight, eh?
it
Yeah.
really is, because if you look at Turman as well, he won his last fight against Sam Alvey, but it was a split decision, and
Yeah,
that's Sam Alvey, who unfortunately has lost like 8 in a row.
Mhm.
And then before that, he lost 2. So he's kind of coming off like maybe like a 3-fight not so great streak.
yeah.
So I see either one of these guys loses, and that's cut city, man.
Could this be the first fight card that there's 2 Armenian fighters?
I don't
Maybe
know. I don't know if that
maybe
stat is there.
that's
Erfan,
that's a stat. And that kid, that Armin kid is amazing, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's a savage.
he's fighting. He's fighting the opener of the main card, right? I think
Yeah.
so. Armin Petrosyan.
No, the other one, Armin Armon.
Oh,
Armon.
Armin Sarukian.
Yeah, he's good
Wait.
too.
Oh, wait. Are you saying that it's the first card with 2 guys named Armin?
No, 2 Armenian guys.
I mean-
They're both,
Yeah, but wait.
the guys are both Armenian.
But both these guys, both their first names are Armin. One's Armin
Yeah.
with an A, and one's Armin with an E.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a statistic I threw out there, man. There's 2 Armenian. I know they're both Armenian.
Holy
All right.
crap, man! You guys go like buy a lottery ticket because this is like coincidence, man. Like, right?
This is it. The main event. Okay, so this is what we want to talk about, right? We're going to spend the remainder of the podcast talking about this.
Yeah.
Bobby King Green. God damn it, Bobby. Come on our podcast, you bastard. You're like
Bobby!
one of my favorite fighters. Erfan, does Bobby Green have any chance in hell of beating Islam?
100%. I mean, if it's any chance in hell, like 100%, man. Like just to bring it back, like the 2 fights with Malcolm. Like you look at the odds against the first fight, like even Dennis, right? Like at the end of the day, everybody's got their odds, and you know who is the favorite, and you know what brings to the table. But 100% Bobby has a chance, and I think we'll definitely see his wrestling on full display here.
Mhm.
And Islam, I don't know, man. I think the worst nightmare for a striker is someone who's not afraid of them. We've seen this with Silva, when he fought Sonnen. That was, his kryptonite was a guy that just moved forward. I mean, the second fight, different story when they fought.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a betting man, I guess you would say Islam, but there's a part of me that wants Bobby Green to win this and to do well. I think it would be a crazy story for you to win and then 3 weeks later cut shit ton of weight again and then beat one of the guys that's supposed to be quote unquote the next Khabib, right? So
Yeah.
and then what does that leave? Where does that leave them? Whoever wins, I guess, title shot at this point.
Dude,
or
I posted online, and I've been fighting with people on Instagram saying if Bobby wins this fight in any kind of impressive fashion,
yeah,
that's title shot.
Yeah.
Give me a friggin' break. He was Islam and versus Beneil Dariush, which was what it was supposed to be, was a number one contender fight. That fight was to see who gets the title. If
it's only
Bobby,
fair, it's only fair. Then it's only fair to give him the shot.
of course.
No.
I mean,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's even good for the UFC. Like, look at the promotion. You have a guy just from what was he ranked before the last fight? Like 13,
nothing.
12?
He's still not ranked.
He's still not ranked.
Nope.
He should be ranked. He should definitely be ranked.
Yeah, at least 15. At least put him on 15, right? Prince, what do you got on this fight?
Listen, it's Mystic Prince. Usually I get these right. I say, Erfan, listen to this, man. I say Bobby by decision. Bobby's going to be busy. He's going to be busy all the way through. And he's just going to keep that distance. Don't let him get too close. I think Bobby's going to take it. And we're all going to cry when we find out Bobby gets his hands raised.
Are you kidding? I would be screaming so loud. Erfan, you will be
how is he on his predictions usually? Be honest.
Dude, you should go on our Instagram reels and check out our predictions. We are dead on.
Offended that I didn't know he was good.
We are dead on the round and the method. Like, we have called so many. We called the
You guys are the real deal. I think I underestimated you guys. I got to do a podcast of me interviewing you guys.
You thought this is some sort of crappy podcast, Erfan? Yeah. We are like geniuses, man.
Listen, all I got just one fight, just one prediction here, Erfan. I predicted Nunez second round submission. That was me.
Yeah,
it was on here too.
I predicted the Jake Paul 7th round knockout.
Really, last week, or what was the event? What was the event that Derek Lewis fought on? That was 2 events ago, or?
Oh yeah. Let's not talk about that one. That one didn't count.
I was at my girlfriend's cottage, and my girlfriend's sister's husband bets a lot, and he just asked me, and I never bet. I've been to Vegas twice. I've never been to a slot machine. I don't bet on sports, and he made me choose like 5 fights, and I got it right. And now he's like, this weekend you got to come over and choose these fights. And now I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me because I'm not good at this stuff. I mean, I've only done it once, right? I don't like to usually predict things, but.
All right.
What about you, Timmy? Who you got winning?
Look, man, I used to be known for my horrible prediction prowess. Right. Yeah. So I'm always nervous to vote for the guy that I love because I think I always bring some sort of bad luck. So I will vote Islam, and I hate saying this. Please God, I hope I am wrong. But I am going to say Islam 2nd round submission.
Oh, Jesus.
And I hate saying it.
Islam's been knocked out before, right?
He only has 1 loss.
Yeah, so, it was a complete. If I'm not mistaken,
it was a KO. KO in the first round by Adriano Martins.
Yeah, it was a Brazilian guy, right?
That was back many moons ago. You have an incredible memory.
Oh, hey, it's there, man. It's there. Like it's there. But the only issue I would say is like. Bobby's a volume guy, so it's just going to be interesting if he's going to be able to. I mean, if he knocks him out, crazy. But if he doesn't, it's going to be a long. I don't know. It's so tough, eh?
What I think the thing is though is that, and Islam was quoted today. He was in an interview where he was saying, "Oh, Bobby's going to talk. I'm going to talk. Once I take him down, I'll be talking to him." And blah blah blah.
This is going to be a fun fight.
The thing is though, is like you were saying that last fight that Bobby had with Nasrat Haqparast. Nasrat before the fight was like, I'm not going to play these mental games and I'm not going to blah, blah, and you're not going to get in my head. The minute Bobby walked in the cage, Nasrat was chatting with him and, making signs of aggression. I'm like, dude, he's already in your head.
Yeah.
So I do feel like Bobby can get into people's heads. And if he can do that with Islam, pray to God he gets it done, man.
Man, I think the coolest thing is like about Bobby's opportunities right now is like, he's gone through the motions like only 3 weeks ago. So the nerves, I mean, clearly he's going to be nervous. That's just part of the game. But it's just motions that he's just repeatedly done in the last month, in the last 3 weeks, right? Yeah, so that might be an incredible thing for him. He didn't look like he got hit too much or got hurt or anything like that fight. Man, he could shock the world,
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think he should certainly get a title shot. Like, I mean, to beat that. And what's Islam ranked? I don't even know the ranking with Islam.
What is he, 3? Well, he's got to be like 3 or 4, right? Because
because he's number one contender, right?
that win was going to be his number 1 contender between him and Beneil, and I think him and Beneil were 3 and 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, Erfan, I do want to say, I'm going to show one more clip of Bobby Green just so we can kind of give Bobby some more love.
Yeah.
But this is why I think UFC loves him, and you know, here's something that he said. And if people haven't seen this, I want them to hear this.
And the one thing that I didn't get to share is like my brother that died. I didn't have enough money to pay for his funeral. The UFC paid for that, you know. That's why I'm so loyal to them. Like, they were doing things for me that no companies ever did. They put the money in for my brother's funeral, and they took care of that. And so I'll always be loyal to them and thankful to them. Thank you, you know, Dana. Thank you, Sean, for all the things you guys have done. I tell them all the time, you guys don't have no idea what you've done for me. You've changed my life, you know.
Yeah, I've actually seen this tape, man. I think it's kind of interesting to see, like, you know, as much as people bash the UFC for fighter pay, man, there's a lot of people that are grateful to be in the UFC, you know, because you know, even you see like other fighters and other organizations that like have been to UFC and like, holy crap, the treatment here, like, you know, the place they stay at, the PI, like everything, they get taken care of, the kid. Of course, everybody would. I think it's any industry, man. It doesn't matter if it's fighting. Whatever, people want to be paid more, right? Yes, compared to other athletics, it's not as lucrative as it is. But it's amazing to see, you know, someone grateful, and like you're not seeing this because Logan Paul and all his fanboys started talking crap, you know, and bashing Dana White, made that music video, right? Because they're just what people really think is like. The Paul brothers or Logan or whatever, Jake Paul, which one of them really cares about fighters' pay? He doesn't. It's just a publicity stunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just so funny to see like, oh, look at him. He cares about fighters' pay. Dana says, like, go open up your own organization and pay these guys. It out. Yeah, go figure this thing out. So, it's cool seeing that and seeing Bobby Green's. I actually was watching his life story or his.
The video about his thing. Dude, Bobby has a great life story. If you haven't checked out, go follow it on the UFC YouTube. They have like a origin story about Bobby.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Go watch that. This guy has a Cinderella story about to happen. If he can win this fight, you know, I'm saying that this guy should get title shot. He's a company man, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying in a good way. You're a guy that puts yourself out there for the company, speaks well of the company and the bosses. They like that. Just like in all of our jobs.
Yeah.
If you go out and you talk well about your company and be respectful, good things happen to you. That's the way life works. Like, tough luck, right? You want to go out there and talk shit and talk bad about your employer and stuff like that. Guess what? You're not getting the next step. You're not getting benefits. That's the way life works.
Could this if Bobby wins this could probably be like top 5 UFC upsets.
Hey, you know what? And it's Glover.
It could be, man. It could be. I guys walked through everybody, right? Like, you know,
19-1. Yeah. The next big thing. The next Khabib. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, because what was the worst? What was the worst? What was the worst? Top one biggest upset in UFC definitely has to be Matt Serra GSP.
Yeah, my God,
that dude has to be number 1 forever. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna topple that unless you guys know someone else. I'm just curious.
No, that's got to be one of the biggest, man.
That's number 1, man. The guy had no, like, everyone had him written off, like, and he TKO'd him. It wasn't even a decision, bro. He TKO'd the guy.
I still feel that the residual, because I bet you every Canadian was rooting for GSP at that time, and when he got dropped, everyone was like, "What's going on over here?" But you guys don't forget, like, I mean, hey, look, Glover pulled it off too, right? He pulled that right. That was a big. Come on, man, 41 years old, he's got the belt.
Call me crazy. I was never the biggest GSP fan. Like,
hey,
I get
another thing that we have in common, dude.
Yeah. I never understood the GSP fanboys. Like, they're just like crazy about him, like, you know, and just never. I was a big Anderson Silva fan until the Weidman incident, you know. Dude, he's still fighting, man. He's sparring his kids 2-on-1, like.
I know. Well, what, Weidman you mean, or Anderson?
No, Silva.
Oh yeah, Anderson. Yeah, he's still out there, man, and he's
Like,
boxing, right?
dude,
Who's calling him out
insane.
now? I think
Man,
it's
Andre Arlovsky, what the hell? The
Yeah,
guy's
he's still
still
in there.
fighting, man.
He's still in there, man. Like I
that's
swear.
insane. And Arlovsky looks good. Like he
Yeah.
still looks good. He went through that bad slump and he's reemerged. He's still taking out dudes in impressive fashion. Like guy is good, man.
And I think big shout out to Jim Miller, man. Jim Miller is
Oh my God.
Dude,
Are you kidding?
that was a beautiful hook he threw against that Brazilian kid. You know, and the kid, you can tell the cockiness in that kid where he's like, all right, give me this old timer.
Yeah,
He was starting to light him up a little bit in the first round, and then I would not. I think that was one of my favorite fights of that card. Was just seeing Jim Miller. You know, he's gonna fight at 100, 200, and he's trying to fight at 300 UFC.
It's crazy, and they're saying that they want Jim Miller to fight Cowboy Cerrone because I think they are tied now for most wins in UFC.
That's sick. That's sick.
And so it would be like to hit that title. I mean, those two guys at the later stages of their career to both be in the same weight class and have that record together. It's pretty freaking insane, man. That would be like an amazing fight, like amazing, epic historical fight.
That would be sick. You'd get them all wheelchaired in, both of them, at the same time.
Maybe after the fight, man. Don't jinx it before the fight.
Yeah. How dare you?
The UFC will get canceled if that ever happens. Nothing. They would have lasted everything COVID, and then they do something like that.
Yeah,
it's over.
Then they're out.
Yeah.
Erfan, we had the greatest time meeting you, man. We are definitely going to have you. Man. We're definitely going to have you back because I had like 100 questions to ask you, and I haven't gotten to anything.
All right, I talked too much
because we just flowed, man. We flowed into everything, but I think we touched upon everything we really wanted to. We made our picks for this weekend. God damn it, Bobby Green, you got to get this win out for us. Erfan, before we let you go, anybody that you want to shout out, anyone you want to say thank you to? We've already said how to reach you. So
100%. I mean, shout out to Top Team, Ainsley, Malcolm, of course, for having the trust in me. Tariq, who's an incredible coach there. Mark Hominick. It's always been an honor to be again, I can't say it enough, like to be at my two appearances at the pro level, to have Mark Hominick by my side, right? And then George, who was there with us last fight, he's an incredible grappler. He's in Toronto BJJ. And Mike Imprada, who's an incredible coach, incredible fighter. And I think he fights, I saw on Instagram, March 19th or something. So good luck to him. And everyone for the continuous support. And you guys for, always putting the shine and on fighters and Canadian fighters especially. So hopefully the sports keeps growing and that's pretty much it. I feel like I'm gonna start turning into Kanye West. I want to thank my mom, everybody, my cousin back at the village, so there's too many shout outs. Dude, if you guys haven't watched Kanye West's doc, is unreal on Netflix. It's really good.
All right.
Go watch that. Watch that too.
I didn't need to give a shout out to Kanye West. I just said you guys should watch it.
Hey, if he likes this podcast, we're good. Prince, anything you want to say before we get going?
I was just gonna say, man, your girlfriend's right across from you, and Kanye gets a shout out, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's Sam, and the dog Billy. Shout out to Billy.
Yeah. Go. Yeah, that's right. On your Instagram, your dog is the cutest, man.
Yeah,
guys, we're out of here. We're past our time. We appreciate you, Erfan, so much. Say hi to Malcolm for us. Say hi to the team. We will see you soon. Here comes the dog.
That's it.
I feel it's coming. Where is he? We're running out of time. I've got no more bandwidth. There he is.
Hey, but beautiful dog, man.
Guys.
What a cutie. All right, Billy, Erfan, have a good one, guys.
Take care.
All right, take care, buddy.
All right, bye.